You're watching Hellbent Holler live, part of the Hellbent Media Network. Grab a drink, settle in, and get ready for the show. Hello, everybody. How are we doing today? Let's go ahead and do a mic and video check. Let me know that you can see me, and we will get started. I have a bit here for us today. If you will notice, it's all just me. It's just me today. And we'll get into that. So Dewey says everything is all good. Let me take a look here. Make sure we're good. I'm not going to touch this laptop. All right. Welcome to Hellbent Holler Live. Generally, it's Jesse and Joe, but today it's a very special episode, an after school special. There we go. Jesse with no Joe. So that's what we're doing today. Just Jesse here. So we've taken Joe offline here, off of this. Joe is actually Joe actually got caught up at work because there was a car off the side of the road that flipped and caught fire. So he is dealing with some of that stuff to deal with that. So he is, of course, Monday night not here because of work. We were laughing that we ought to change this over to like a Sunday night show just because he has nothing but problems on Mondays. So he's just having trouble doing this on Mondays, but that's okay. That is all right. So I'm going to do my best to do this all by myself. My cat has thumbs, but I don't think I can teach him how to run the chat or anything like that. He could probably co-host, but I don't know if you guys would understand just the screaming. So you just got me. So if I get a little behind in the chat, forgive me. I'm doing my best here. So I just wanted to say hello to everybody in the chat. Hello, Hellbenders. Hello, new folks. If we have any new folks in there, it is great to have you all here. This is our Monday night show that we usually do. It's just an informal little hangout where I can give you guys updates on what's going on with Hellbent Holler, what we've been up to, and we can kind of discuss in a free form, open forum manner, all manners of high strangeness, Bigfoot, Dogman, ghosts, all of that good stuff. Lately, we've been kind of focusing on UAPs because that is the top thing in the news right now. That's like the big thing. And it's because of all of this disclosure and these congressional hearings that are going on, these whistleblowers that are coming out, and the release of all of this wild, wild footage from folks like Jeremy Corbell and others. So that has been kind of the biggest thing in the world of weird for, the last couple of weeks. So Friday, we did a late live stream where we discussed that. We showed some photos of those UAPs. I have those queued up. If we get to that, with that comes up, I can queue those up so we can take a look at those UAPs. If you guys aren't familiar with those, there's the chandelier and there's the jellyfish. So kind of wish we had scarier names for them. I think that would be more impact. I need to get in touch with the alien marketing team and talk about those names. So we are going to do this. So what I'm going to ask you to do, just because it's going to make it easier on me because I'm here all by my lonesome doing this, is I need you guys, if you have like a question, you can either super chat it, or because that'll automatically come up and get started, or you can put it in all caps and I'll see it more than likely than, all lowercase, because I'm going to be glancing up and down the whole time. And I don't have anybody else running my chat. So here we go. All right. We did not go out into the woods this weekend or this week because we had to take care of a few things. We had to buffer up the security around us and our home. So that put a damper on that. But that's okay. We are going to keep moving forward. And we're going to keep moving forward, and we're just going to get back to work now. So that's the most important thing that we can do, is just keep doing the work and keep producing good stuff, keep talking to witnesses, and keep trying to uncover the truth. We're not going to stop doing that. We're going to keep doing that. But we just had to buffer up some security around us. That was the big whole thing that we needed to take care of primarily, because if I'm not around, I can't search for answers. So there we go. I know that everybody seems like they are under a ton of snow, and if people are asking me if it's cold here, it's not that bad here. So it is not that bad here. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. So recently, Jeremiah Byron of Bigfoot Society did an interview with Aaron Deese of Small Town Monsters. Aaron is about to put out his latest book that focuses on Dogman, called Hunting Grounds. And he is going to be focusing mainly on the Dogman of Kentucky and the LBL. Now, like last time when he wrote one of these books, the first book he wrote for Small Town Monsters was the Texas Dogman Triangle. We contributed to that book. And of course, we have contributed to this next edition in Aaron's series on Dogman. We were consultants for that. We contributed to that. So that will be coming out soon through Small Town Monsters Publishing. But of course, as with the Texas Dogman Triangle, there is an accompanying documentary about that. Jeremiah Byron interviewed Aaron Deese recently, and I believe it's a members only video. So if you want to take a look at that, go become a member over at Bigfoot Society, and you can have access to that interview. Aaron kind of talks about his experience going out in the field and actually going to these areas where these incidents happened. And I'm not spilling any beans here, but he actually got to go to the area with us where we captured our thermal image of what we believe to be a dogman. But it was a great interview. It was a wonderful interview. So make sure you go and check that out. But that leads into this, that we are going to be in that upcoming documentary. I know in early February, Small Town Monsters is doing their Kickstarter event. And I think they're going to have a teaser trailer for the Hunting Grounds documentary. So you might see some familiar faces in that documentary. That's what we were up to in October and early November of last year. So hopefully you'll be seeing some of that soon. We're really excited about that. After we got done with that whole thing, and yeah, I'm not talking out of school here. We all shared like behind the scenes kind of stuff with it. So everybody knows that we're going to be a part of that. After we got done with that whole thing, I feel like Joe and I were at a spot where we were thinking, okay, what else can we do with the LBL? Like, what else? I mean, have we done everything there is to do with it? Should we put the whole thing to bed? Should we just let the LBL lie and maybe take a break from it? And that's something that we considered pretty strongly. And I think we were pretty sold on doing that. We were pretty sold on, not going back to the LBL. It's a long haul for us to go. And when we go for 7 to 10 days. We've gone for, I think, 12 or 13 days at a stretch before, and gone into the peninsula and done hardcore investigating out there. And we were considering, what are we going to do? Are we going to continue with this? There's a lot of headache that goes along with investigating the LBL. And we were trying to decide, do we want to deal with this? Because we have so many new cases in our area of North Carolina and South Carolina that are popping up as this program gets more and more attention. It seems like we have more and more accounts coming in. And I have a list of witnesses a mile long within this region here that are ready to tell their stories. And I'll talk about one of those witnesses in a little bit, and we'll kind of go over that. But I want to kind of address the LBL situation there, that we want to continue. Do we want to continue to go there? So I had this idea. There's a thing that I think a lot of people who have actually been to the LBL, they'll tell you this, that when they go, when they try to leave, there's something about it that keeps you there. There's something about it that doesn't want to let go of you. And even if we've had a rough time there, I know that when we did the Werewolf Experiment series, we encountered every type of weather event you could possibly imagine. We had tornado events, we had ice storms, we almost wrecked a couple of times due to these ice storms. I have a blue light on my face that's driving me crazy. I'm going to lean back. There we go. But we almost wrecked a couple of times due to these ice storms, and it just became a dangerous situation. Not to mention, as the popularity of the LBL stories and encounters and what's happening gets out into the general public, more people are interested in going and doing this research on their own in the LBL. It's very accessible. It's not insanely remote. There's a main road that goes straight up and down, north to south, called the Trace, that you can take and just take these side roads off of it and just pop into the woods and do the kind of research that we do. There are some areas in the LBL where you're there and you can be out, and in 10, 15 minutes, you can have a hot meal. So it's not particularly difficult to access a lot of these places where you can do these investigations. Therefore, it's more accessible to other people. Unlike our North Georgia area, where it's more remote and we have to really kind of do some work to get back up in there, the LBL is more accessible. So that started to become a bit of a danger for us. That began to hinder our investigations because we would be out there and we would do a live investigation for our viewers. And then it was out into the wild that we were actually out there. And we had a few incidents that occurred because people knew we were out in the LBL. So we sorry, I saw somebody said, I just saw Joey's getting his hair dyed blue. Yeah, unlikely. But we had some incidents, and so that kind of factored into the decision, are we going to let the LBL lie? And I think we decided we were. But I think I want one more hurrah. I think I want one more tour of duty in the LBL. But I don't think we're going to focus primarily on what we've been focusing on to begin with. Because when the Small Town Monsters doc comes out, that's going to be huge. They have so many fans, so many viewers. That's going to be probably the biggest documentary ever done on the LBL. It's going to get in front of more eyeballs than anybody else. And like they do, they're going to tell a comprehensive story. You're going to get a comprehensive kind of overview of what's going on at the LBL, what people are experiencing, witnesses, investigators on the ground like ourselves. You're going to actually get that in that documentary. So I think that I've decided that we're going to do one last hurrah and actually go out there one more time. And part of that is going to be maybe some Dogman stuff. But I think we're going to answer a few questions that we've been trying to answer for a while. And I want to focus on the more paranormal aspects. There's hundreds of cemeteries that are on the peninsula, and I've got the best LBL guide in terms of that in Dewey Edwards to go and do that work. So I'd like to really dig into that and see what other paranormal phenomenon is going on the peninsula. And if there's any way that we can connect all of this phenomenon. Is one thing feeding into another? Is this overarching feeling or curse or just this magnet for strangeness? Is it all tied in together? Is it feeding into one another? Was there some sort of thing that happened that brought about this dog man? How are they connected? So I think that's one of the questions that I want to explore a little bit on our probably last tour of duty, as I'm going to refer to it, in the LBL. So I am excited to go and do that. I'm going to cruise through the chat here. I've been kind of talking and not looking at this. Everybody is still sick. I know. I got to go to a specialist because my ear is messed up pretty bad. They say I could lose my hearing in my left ear. So I have to go to a specialist, and hopefully I don't lose my hearing, because then some dog man could sneak up on my side and, yank me. All right. Martin Groves, please do not give up on the LBL. Please, we need you. As of right now, we're not giving up entirely, but we are considering stepping back after one last hurrah. That could change, like our views on the paranormal or the dogman phenomenon or even Bigfoot. You have to kind of evolve what you're doing as you do it, and as you're given more information and you have more experiences. You kind of have to pivot with that, and you can't really be so set in your ways. So we're not going to, put a nail in the coffin on that. I think we're going to tentatively say this is going to be our last hurrah in the LBL, but we'll see. Something could happen, and then I'll be like, oh crap, I got to go back. So that's where I'm at on that. I'm cruising chat here. Kim Dresser, Jess and Stro is MI. Are you still sitting on pillows? I'm definitely sitting on a pillow right now. I'm too short to really sit here. If I wasn't sitting on my pillows, I think I'd be here in the screen. Yeah, I think that's where I'd be. So I have to sit on pillows on my stool. Um, Plus, it's good for it feels better on the old bum. These are important questions. These are the ones they all come here for. Kentucky Boy 22 says people forget just how haunted the LBL is. Can't wait for the LBL doc and you guys coming back. Me either. There was a lady, I think we've mentioned this before when we talked about the LBL. There was a lady working at one of the gift shops that actually just brought this up to us just kind of randomly. She didn't know what we were, what we did, who we were, anything like that. And she brought it up to us randomly that her and her boyfriend were camping at a certain location near a certain cemetery. And they were terrified by all of these weird paranormal happenings. And they actually got ran out of the woods because of that. So that's one of many stories. There's also still homesteads and the ruins of homesteads that are dotting the peninsula that really deserve to be looked at. And I'm not saying that in doing that I'm going to exclude Dogman or exclude Sasquatch. As you know, when it comes to Dogman, they're commonly seen in these liminal spaces, these places that are considered places of crossing over. There's a lot of Dogman sightings at iron bridges and cemeteries. So this is probably going to be a focus on cemeteries. And so we can't really discount the possibility that there could be evidence of Dogman all together there in these cemeteries and part of that whole situation. So we are coming back. Make sure you hit that like button if you're on here. I do appreciate that. And then we are going to cruise. I'm going through the chat right now. I hate dead air. I just hear Art Bell in my ear going, "Oh, dead air. Don't you know that you can't have dead air?" Hennessy Kristen is asking any idea of more dark corner investigations. So last week, I released a dark corner video. It was a daytime video. I have gotten a lot of requests from everybody wanting daytime footage. I release a lot of daytime footage to our members. I haven't released a lot of daytime footage to our just general public or put it out in the wild. I think the nighttime stuff is kind of what we're known for. And it's very, very exciting to be out there at night. But with every night investigation, there is a day component to that where we are exploring around the woods and scouting and doing all that during the day. And then we do a night investigation as well. There's a lot of evidence that leans towards Sasquatch, Dogman, being nocturnal animals that or creatures or whatever they are, but they seem to be nocturnal, whatever they are. So, and that seems like it's when we get a lot of activity. But I think there's a lot of value in those daytime investigations because it allows you, the viewer, to actually go along with us on kind of that more tedious part where we wander around in the woods and we look for evidence that otherwise at night you wouldn't be able to see. You also get to see more of these strange structures, these bends. You get to actually get a sense of where we are. When we have night footage, when we're doing these night investigations, you have a very narrow view of field of view there. You have what the IR light can bounce off of and put on the screen. So you basically have me and a couple of trees that are around me. When you're doing these day investigations, you can see the rolling hills, you can see all of the trees, you can see all of this stuff. So I think there's a lot of value in that because it allows you to see the terrain that we're in and it allows you to really get a wider scope for where we are and what we're doing. I know that a lot of people also, when you can see that far into the woods, especially during the winter months when there's no leaves, no shrubbery or anything like that, it allows people to kind of look at that footage and maybe they see a dark shape looking at us from deep within the woods. Maybe they see something moving that perhaps we missed. So I think there's a lot of value in those daytime investigations. That's why I really wanted to release that investigation. And it seems like more and more of these wildfires, which is featured in this burned forest video, it seems like these wildfires really do have an effect. I can't pinpoint exactly what that effect is, but from our sample size of just a few, it seems like it pushes activity. So I don't know exactly when this wildfire fire took place, but we are definitely trying to figure that out because I want to see if there's a window of time between when this fire happened and possibly the return of whatever activity is going on up there. So we're continuously going to that area known as the dark corner, and we are continually doing investigations out there. And when we get something, believe me, we will share it with you guys. Dark corner is going to be one of our investigation areas for a very, very long time. That's an area where we've gotten a ton of strange evidence, so we're not going to leave it behind. But when we get something new, you better believe I will share it with you guys. Cryptid Castleberry asks, is there a map of the cemeteries at the LBL? A lot of them are mapped. A lot of them are on Google Maps. You can just use a basic Google map and you'll see them dotting the peninsula there. And as you go up and down the trace, I've explained this before, but so you've got the peninsula and then you've got one road. It's a main 2-lane road back and forth that goes north to south. That just goes right down the middle of the trace. Coming off of that is all of these smaller gravel roads. Most of them are gravel roads, and they go off into these bays that go out to the edge. Most of those roads actually have cemeteries off of them. Now, there are signs at the beginning of each of these roads that have these cemeteries labeled on them. So as you're going down the trace, you just see cemetery sign, cemetery sign, cemetery sign. So you can find all of these cemeteries. So you could kind of systematically go through it that way. But most of them are labeled on the paper LBL map. Most of them are labeled in Google Maps, but there's a few that are hidden, that are secret, that were never mapped and are never discussed. So that is what I'm interested in. So we're definitely going to be checking out a lot of those. And I'll say it again. If you have a question or anything, make sure that you put it in all caps because I am by myself doing this. I don't have anybody watching my chat to put these questions up. So I need to be able to kind of cruise through here to see this so I don't miss anything. Cowboy 4572 really enjoyed the daytime episode. I thought it was a nice change of pace. We have daytime scouting footage that we've done before, but I never released it because, you know, during the day, like I said, it seems like whatever these are, it seems like they are nocturnal to the most degree. And so a lot of these daytime scouting videos, you could say there nothing really happens, but that's the majority when you go out into the woods looking for this stuff that nothing really happens. But I don't share a lot of the nothing really happening stuff with you guys because I already get enough comments of this is just like finding Bigfoot. They never find Bigfoot. But I thought it was important to share that footage with you guys because of the significance of the wildfire. And there's a lot of very strange stuff in that terrain. I wanted you to kind of see for yourself and pick up on yourself. So, Everyday Pyro says, when will we see some more dark dives? So, Friday was kind of an experiment with Joe and I. We discussed the chandelier UFO. We also discussed the jellyfish UFO. And we have discussed kind of doing Dark Dive Live on Friday evenings, that we would do our Dark Dive podcast series, but we would do it live on Fridays and then release that on the podcast platforms as well. We'll have everything kind of prepared, an outline of what we're going to talk about and a research subject that we really go in depth on. So I think that's what we've discussed doing, is doing Dark Dive Lives on Fridays. We talked about that a couple of times right now, but we were kind of experimenting and seeing how that did on Friday. And we were so excited to talk about all of this UAP stuff that we were like, okay, let's try it. It's like we want to go in depth on this and really kind of hash out these ideas sort of uninterrupted. We'll kind of play with the structure of it. I know that we're not going to be taking questions like we do for these free forum discussions on Mondays. If we do take questions, it will be at the end of the episode after we kind of present our case on whatever topic we're discussing that particular day. And I'll let you guys know beforehand what the topics are. I'll have a graphic already made, and that way you got all that. Hawk, why I love daytime Jesse. Is daytime Jesse different from nighttime Jesse? You get to see my stupid faces a little more, you know. All right. Lady Wolf is not well, so make sure you guys hit that like button and give her a little sunshine. Please hit that like button. She's not feeling well, poor little Lady Wolf. She's too mean to be down though. Joe is in the chat. I'm assuming Joe is stuck where he's at. I didn't even notice that. Erev has an interesting point here. I've had a theory that some of the controlled burns in the Forest Service does are for pushing out. Maybe, I don't know. Okay, let's decipher that one. That these controlled burns, the purpose of them is there's a conspiracy by the Forest Service to kind of push these beings or these creatures further back or out of a forest. That could be a possibility, but then you got to think about the compartmentalization. Controlled burns are good forest management. They have to do controlled burns, but there's a possibility that there's a controlled burn that is not necessary, but is under the guise of a necessary bit of forestry management. You don't know. Yeah, you knew Joe would pop in because he can't stay away. And I just want everybody to know that I'm doing a good job. If anybody didn't notice, Joe's not here. Cryptids and Critters Paranormal, that's my Dooster. He goes, Jesse, the local fire department or forestry department should have records of the wildfire. I cannot get a hold of anybody at the district's ranger station where this particular fire happened. I'm having I'm trying to finagle some information, but right now I can't get a hold of anybody. Nobody will call me back. I've left several messages, but nobody wants to call me back. So I'm just going to keep pursuing that. I'm going to keep hammering. Joe just tried to super chat. Yeah, you can't super chat your own self, Joe. See, this is why he has me at the helm. Can you show us your tattoos? There you go. Watch my videos. You'll see them. You just take inventory by watching every video. Enjoy that. Mike S75. See, I'm blind as well as going deaf. It would be great to see some new cases in your area. Yes. So I have some cases coming up in our area. We discussed last week that we went and talked to this gentleman around his property about these strange sounds. We went out there, we got some recordings. I showed, did I talk about it last week or the week before? It's all running together, but one of those. I showed photos of that tree structure that he has on that property that he got. I got really good photos of that and video of that. And I shared about 5 photos of that with you guys so you can take a look at them. We got a lot of really cool feedback on that. So we have that. That's in our immediate area. That's in our immediate region. So we'll definitely be checking that out. We've opened a case file on that. So that will be one of our big cases going forward. I have a feeling there's a lot to uncover there. There's a lot to unpack there. And then these areas where we're going to go and stake out in that spot, we have these high areas that are up on these ridges that are perfect for long-term stakeouts where we can actually take the parabolic dish and mic setup and go sit out there and actually get high quality recordings of these howls and yells that this gentleman is experiencing and that we actually experienced on our first trip out there. One of them sounded just like that double woo, woo, that's at the beginning of Sasquatch Chronicles, almost exactly. Right after I heard it, I looked at Joe and I said, that sounds like the double whoop thing on Sasquatch Chronicles. It was wild. So we got a lot of cool audio just on that first initial trip out there. So we're going to be making more trips out there. We're going to take all of um, our our data gathering equipment. We're going to take our audio stuff. We're going to do drop recorders out there. We're going to do long-term audio recording out there. So we're really going to throw everything at this spot because it seems like it is so active and we're so excited to do that. So we've opened that case there. I don't have a name for that area, like a code name. You know, I do code names for everything, Dark Corner, Laughing Beast. I don't have a name for that yet, but I will. It'll come to us. But I am going to open that case on that because the evidence is kind of piling up on that. We're really excited about that. So I got another case that I'm actually opening up. I spoke to a gentleman, and this case is in South Carolina. I spoke to a gentleman who is having some really wild activity, and he's been having activity since 2016, and this has been an ongoing thing. I had a conversation with him today. I did a preliminary interview with him today and talked about, kind of went through just the basics of, what happened, what incidents happened, what happened before, what happened after. It was just kind of like a basic preliminary interview. And I will be meeting with this gentleman coming up soon and doing an in-person interview. And eventually, if he's interested in being interviewed on camera, we'll do that. If not, I can, conceal his identity. But I really want him to share some of his experiences with the audience, because there's a connection between these two gentlemen's experiences and people they know's experiences and each other. And one gentleman is suffering from serious PTSD from an experience he had near this gentleman's place. So I'm hoping that maybe them coming out and talking about this will help people kind of process what they've experienced in this area. So we're going to see about that. I'm starting to connect some dots when it comes to commonalities between these sightings and these experiences just by talking to a couple of people in this particular area. There's a lot of commonalities between these. It's sort of like David Paulides' missing 411, that basic bullet points of, boulder fields, strange weather events, that kind of stuff, not carrying a firearm, that kind of thing. It doesn't match up with that, but finding these common little things between these people and their experiences and what happens after, it's cool to find there's so much overlap with these people and what they're experiencing. So hopefully continuing this, I can build some kind of profile of what maybe is leading to these incidents, what is contributing to these incidents and these experiences. And if there's like a common thread between these people. I know that we have discussed before that Dr. Gary Nolan is doing a lot of research on the commonalities between people who have UAP sightings and experiences, that there is something different about their brains. Now, he has a small sample size because these are government officials, government workers, government, employees that they're checking these brain scans on. But if he expanded that out, would he find this common trait amongst other UAP experiencers? So I'm kind of doing that. I'm not scanning people's brains, but I'm looking at what are these common traits between these people that are all having these experiences in this same region. So I'm trying to develop a profile, I guess, on that. Let's go through, y'all. Steve Tichenall was asking about the dark dives. Will the dark dives be archived? Yes, they will. They'll be on the channel, and I'll also put them on the podcast platform, um, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of that stuff. We'll be putting that on there as well, in an audio form, so you don't have to have YouTube up for that. But we'll mainly have it on YouTube because we'll have the video feed with it as well, just like this. But I'll have a different graphics package for it, and then we'll have a different kind of structure for it. I'm gonna cruise through the chat. And like I said, I'm not gonna be a lot. I'm not gonna be able to see a lot of this chat because I'm by myself. Usually Joe or I is always looking at the chat and dealing with this. Alan Laster, I know you asked this earlier. Are you going to be investigating in the upstate of South Carolina? Yes, I have some stuff coming up in the upstate that we will be looking at and checking out. Cruise through. Judy Wheeler, of course. Jesse, doing a great job, Jesse. Doing a great job. Linda Bauer, you have to say the same. See? The consensus right now is that I'm doing a good job. Joe, we are not putting a cardboard cutout of you here. All right, let's see. I'm just cruising. Like I said, put it in caps. I'm gonna miss a lot of this chat. I'm sorry. Joe can I think Joe just noticed the X over his name. What does it say here? Wait, I just saw the X over name. What the hell? It looks like it was prepared ahead of time. It's a conspiracy against Joe. I'm taking over. It's all Jesse. No Joe. I'm just cruising. All right. You people have nothing to say to me. You're just listening to me babble. Awesome. All right. I'm going to get back to the babbling. Alan Lassiter. Have y'all thought about hiking in the Brown Mountain area? Yes. So part of our plan for the next Brown Mountain Lights expedition is to actually go. We actually have a new Psionics. I showed that in a YouTube short. It's the Psionics Pro, and it is way better than the Psionics Aurora Sport that we filmed the first round of Brown Mountain Lights with, that is on the channel. And that's fantastic footage, but we upgraded our Psionics. We were able to do that thanks to our members. We upgraded our Psionics to get the Psionics Pro. So we are so excited to get out there and film the Brown Mountain Lights with that upgraded full color night vision camera. We're so excited about that. So we are planning another Brown Mountain expedition. We are trying to do that, and then we want to kind of hike to the origin of them. Now, it is a distance because you have to remember we're on an overlook looking over a gorge at these lights. So we're on the overlook in the gorge, giant gorge. If we see a light come up, we can't just wander around and be there. I mean, we're talking about like a day and a half hike to get to that location. So don't get mad that I can't teleport from viewing the lights to the source of the lights. So, but I would like to go to that ridge that seems like it is the origin point of these lights. I can't fly yet. And I don't want to fly my drone over that. I don't want to fly my drone over that, or my drone is going into that gorge because the wind is insane in that gorge. Joe's starting a fishing channel. Y'all are just rambling with Joe. All right. Tamara0142 asked, Jesse, what has been your scariest experience? Probably in the LBL. Probably in the LBL, seeing that shadow figure in the middle of the day the second time. This is when we found that second abandoned tent. We were up there. We were looking at the abandoned tent site where it looked like something ripped these people out of this tent. All of their effects were strewn about. Everything they owned were strewn about. We found children's clothes inside that tent. This is the middle of the day. We're looking at this. And I see down in the valley, not far away, this black figure run. And I had seen this figure before on a previous trip to the LBL. And it moved in an incredibly unnatural way. And it was darker than dark. and it had these gangly long arms and moved in an insanely unnatural way. And I don't even know how to describe what it could have been, but Joe has seen this figure before as well. We've never seen it at the exact same time. I've seen it twice. He's seen it once, I believe. But it just, I had this huge adrenaline dump. It just struck fear in me like nothing has ever before in my life. And I've been out there in the middle of the night where you can't see anything. Of course, you think, I don't know what's around me at that point, but I guess, ignorance is bliss when it comes to that, because this was in the middle of the day and I see this dark, gangly, strange, unnatural, unsettling figure running through the woods. And like I said, I had this adrenaline dump and I just kind of hyperventilated. I started crying. I was very upset. And it took a long time for me to kind of gather myself, get up, and get back to work. Joe had to comfort me and try to, and sometimes if something like that happens, he goes into a panic mode because I know he doesn't want something bad to happen to me. He doesn't want to watch me suffer in any kind of way. So it kind of rocks us back, both of us, on our heels when something like that happens. It's something that you can't prepare for. It's something that you can't expect. And even if you try to mentally or physically prepare yourself for something like that, it's just so unnatural and so wrong that it doesn't belong. And I think that your monkey brain kind of kicks in and you kind of go into this survival mode, this fear that you need to get away from this thing, you need to get away from it. And that's all that you can think about. And that's all your reaction is. So that was probably the scariest thing I've experienced. I had definitely had a huge physical reaction to that. So, yeah, Joe went to go find Nessie. That's where he went. Miranda Crew asked, "You planning any trips to the Daniel Boone National Park?" Yes. I think in the coming year, we will make our way up there. That's a spot we've wanted to check out for a while. If you know of anyone that's had any experiences up there, I'd love to hear about those. You can email me. I'm actually going to put the ticker at the bottom that you can. Let's show that. So our email is right there, hellbentholler@gmail.com. So if you've had any experience, oh God, I'm choked up. Let's get some coffee. Oh God, the dog man's got me. If you have had any experiences in the Daniel Boone National Forest, or if you know anybody that has, feel free to email us. We're kind of still building a bit of a dossier on that area because it is so far from us. It's not something we can just go out and investigate regularly. So we kind of have to plan ahead for doing that kind of investigation. So if you have any experience there, or know anybody that's had an experience there, shoot us an email at that address below, hellbentholler@gmail.com. And we'll check that out. We'll follow up on that. And, we'll see. Joe has just taken over the chat. Heaven forbid I do a show without Joe. And he just jumps in the chat and takes over. Patty G. Jesse, the shadow figure about disabled you. That was even scary to watch. Yeah, it was something that I've been terrified before, but that was how do I say this? I've been like physically in danger. I was in the French Quarter of New Orleans for many, many years, and I was almost kidnapped one night. And so I knew that I was in physical danger and I escaped. But that was a moment of pure fear, but not only on a physical level, but also on a spiritual level. If that makes any sense? So yeah, that was terrifying. Brandon Ouellette says, would be cool to have a big group in Linville Gorge, all in different vantage points. Possible connection by radio. Can possibly direct others towards the lights. Just a thought. That would be cool if we could like have spotters on the overlook and then kind of they vector us in. I wonder, you know what would be cool? I'm just kind of rolling this idea through in my head. It would be cool if we could have somebody maybe on the overlook, and how would they know where we are? That would be the thing. We could do radios if the radios would go that far, but how would they know? We could do like infrared beacons, but we would look like the lights, I guess, but we would just kind of move. But we could do the infrared beacons on there. That would be an idea. I'll roll that through. We know a couple of people in the area, so that might be a cool little hellbender get together where we can all kind of work together on a little case. That might be something we could do in the future. I think that's a neat idea. Get people to vector us in by radio. I don't know what you're saying about the lights. Indy Southpaw asks, any new ideas what melted those tents? So he's talking about those tents in the LBL. The last time we went there, and we went there to film with Small Town Monsters, but while we were there, we did a lot of filming on our own for our channel and everything. We included some video from our last trip where we go back to the original abandoned tent site, and that tent is completely melted. And it looks like it wasn't burned. There was no charring. It looks like it was just direct heat melting. This tent that's like in the middle of the woods. And then we made our way down the valley and around and up to the second tent site. And that one was melted as well. And that second one is way harder to find than that first one. But both tents look like they met the same strange fate, that they were both melted and all of the effects that were there were melted along with them. So there was basically no evidence left. Thank God we've got all this footage. I have raw footage. I have footage on the YouTube and all this other stuff. We know they were there, but they were completely melted into just these scraps by we don't know what it is. There's been a lot of theories about what that could be. A chemical that was sprayed, direct heat. There's even been, UAP involvement mentioned, but we have not settled on anything at all. When we go back, there will be something else weird. I guarantee it. So when we go back, we'll definitely check out those locations and report back with you. I did find that weird tree structure thing near that second tent, though, after that. I think that blue light's not going out if they're not positioned correctly, because I didn't position them correctly when I set this up because I forgot to position them correctly. So you just get my weird face in the blue light, and sometimes somebody mentioned the blue light. All right, I'm cruising. Make sure you guys hit that like button if you are in the chat. Joe, are you prepared to sleep on the couch? Joe would prefer to sleep on the couch. If I could lock the cats in the bedroom with me, he would just sleep soundly on the couch. Specialist Ramirez says, thought about doing an investigation in Tallulah Gorge and North Georgia. We have been around that area before, but we are always willing to go and check that out some more. We keep getting reports out of North Georgia. We do a lot of North Georgia stuff. We haven't been back to the place where we got that audio at what we call the offering tree in a while. We haven't been back to that area where we captured that portal thing we have in the Burning Light video. We haven't been back to that area in a while, but we are definitely got to get back up in there and get back to North Georgia. It's crazy. It's like all these South Carolina encounters keep rolling in. Ever since we started doing the Dark Corner series, we've had all these South Carolina encounters rolling in. And the guy I talked to today, it's wild. What he has been experiencing since 2016 has been bananas. And so we're really looking forward to getting a more in-depth interview and finding out what's going on, and actually going to these sites where he's had these experiences, checking out the terrain, taking photographs, and starting our initial case file on this and, kind of figuring out what's going on. But it's some crazy, some of it aggressive stuff that I actually haven't heard of in this area ever. Some of the stuff that these creatures are getting up to and trying to do is stuff that I've never heard of in this area. So I can't wait to share that with you guys when we finally put this whole story together and kind of hash out some of the details on it. So Suki was asking, has anyone ever tried to call the Brown Mountain Lights to them, kind of like CE5? When we go to the Brown Mountain Lights, I'm going to try CE5. I've been wanting to try CE5 for a while, and we have this theory that because we've not been watching the night sky whenever we have these weird experiences on the ground, that's part of why we got that Psionics Pro. Is we're going to be able to set that out when we do these stakeout missions. We'll be able to set up that Psionics Pro, set it up on a tripod, connect it to a Gorilla Pod, put it on a limb or something, and point it up at the sky. And when we get these strange noises on the ground, see these lights down below, hear knocks, anything like that, any kind of activity that's around us down on the ground, I want to see if that correlates with something going on in the sky. It's this as above, so below premise that maybe whatever's going on up in the sky is affecting what's down below, or maybe vice versa. We're not sure. That's why we were going to, when I was doing that Estes session in that cemetery on that mountaintop, we were going to set up the Pro. We set it up, but the screaming around us kind of flipped us out. We did not want to leave all of our equipment out there in case we had to unask the area in a quick way. I didn't want to leave, all of my equipment up there just trying to get out. So we kind of packed it up and went real bare bones for that Estes session. But we still want to experiment with that and kind of push the envelope on that. I am definitely interested in doing CE5. I'm interested in pursuing that and seeing what I can call forth. And I'm working on a protocol for a possible Sasquatch CE5 thing right now too. And I'm kind of building off of the CE5 protocol for UAPs, UFOs. So I'm really looking forward to that. But I think I want to try CE5 whenever we go to do the Brown Mountain Lights again. I know everybody's leaving. Everybody wanted Joe. Sorry, guys. Joe is busy with burning vehicles. Cruising through the chat. Make sure you guys hit that like button. And this is a good point, Grace. I'm thinking because Jesse and Joe say they're only going to do the LBL once more, that the phenomena is going to know that, and it's going to act up to try to keep them in. That really is, that attests to the trickster paranormal, the trickster element of the paranormal. When you are so frustrated about either nothing happening or it's, maybe the phenomenon's done, it's moved on, then something happens when you try to just leave and you try to leave it behind. Even if things are happening and then we're to a level of frustration with a certain area, like the LBL frustrates us because of outside factors, not so much the activity within the peninsula or the area. It's these outside factors and these outside ancillary people that cause a lot of that issue with us going there. So that's part of the problem. But, people can be influenced by that trickster element as well. People can have a little bit of that trickster in them and actually participate in what's happening. John Keel always would say that we co-author our experience. Maybe these people that, cause problems or intervene or anything like that, maybe they're also co-authors of a larger story. So maybe that is that trickster element rearing its ugly head. So we'll see. It'll probably do that. You're probably right. And then I have to huff and puff and go back. Indy Southpaw, thank you so much for that super sticker. You are awesome. I appreciate you. That is awesome. That is really cool. Thank you. That'll help pay for the tube in my ear to hopefully keep me from going deaf. Thanks. I'm really hoping I don't go get deaf. I really need my ears. How do I do audio review with one ear? Ray Provencio says, Jess, what is your, let's go. Let's see. Let me go over this again here. Jess, what is your thoughts on the jellyfish UAP? I was watching the video and it sounds crazy. It looks like a Star Wars Imperial drone. I actually have that queued up. I'm going to show you guys the jellyfish UAP. If you haven't seen it yet, I'm sure you guys have. UAP. There it is. Share screen. Yeah, let me show you guys that because it's pretty freaky deaky. There we go. This is it. This is the jellyfish. Look at this thing. Oh my God, look at this thing. This is the jellyfish UFO, UAP. It looks like a Star Wars Imperial drone. I am sorry. You're going to hate me. You're all going to hate me. I have never watched Star Wars, so I don't offhandedly know that reference. I could Google that very quickly and see what that is. I think that if you'll look at this thing, it looks almost like an H.R. Giger painting or sculpture. It almost looks Lovecraftian. It's very spiny. It's very otherworldly. It's very strange. It doesn't look mechanical to me. It doesn't look like something that you would craft out of metals or be a commonly seen shape of any kind, or even something that is aerodynamic in any way. So in saying that, it's completely out of the ordinary. It's something that I think is beyond our comprehension at this point. It looks like, I go back, it's like very Lovecraftian to me. We were listening to something. What were we listening to? I'm not sure. And somebody was talking about this jellyfish UAP, and they said, well, maybe they attached the top. I think it was Aaron Deese on. It was Aaron Deese on top on Jeremiah's Bigfoot Society show. He's like, well, maybe they put a top of a ghillie suit onto a drone, and I was like, how are the propellers moving? But I guess you could attach it with twine, and the drone is not visible. I don't know, but I'm sure there's a lot of things that you could say this could possibly be. But it looks like organic. It looks like organic material based on the shapes of it, which has me very unsettled that we have these organic things floating through the sky, possibly. That weirds me out probably more than anything. It's so unnatural. It weirds me out. The uncanny valley has been struck. I don't even know if Joe's coming home today. I'm just going to make dinner for myself. Moondog Davis says, Jesse is doing a great job. Thank you. Oh, Miranda Crew, back at it. Jesse's doing a great job. This is what I want to hear. This is where we're at. Juba Jam says, I was catching up with some videos, and those sounds you got were crazy when you left the recorder on that log. That was Screaming Lights and Supernatural Predators. And that tree, we call it the offering tree. We need to go back to that spot. We've not been back there in a very long time. There's a really dark and weird history in that area that we know about, that we've experienced. We've experienced a lot of strange stuff out there, and we decided to do one of our drop recorder experiments where we left a recorder in that area. We put a couple leaves on top of it, and then we left it for a while, and we got some of the craziest audio. It sounds like two entities going back and forth, and at one point basically arguing with one another, but they sound like they speak different languages. It's so weird. There was like a grunting and then a clicking entity, and I feel crazy just saying that out loud, that these two entities were talking back and forth. But at one point, you hear the recorder get picked up. It's up in the air in the wind, and then boom, it drops. So whatever was out there, I guess we were just our spy apparatus was discovered, and we got all of that on audio. So if you haven't checked that out yet, check it out. It's Screaming Lights and Supernatural Predators. I have timestamps on all the audio that we catch then, and it's just weird. It's weird. It's very weird. Very weird. Like Joe said, we have some new audio recorder stuff we're working on. We're just trying to be novel in the way we use all of this equipment because we've got to find I'm sorry, Kyle. You've never watched Star Wars? No, I'm sorry. Yeah, all I watch is Demolition Man and Blade. That's what I got. You want to talk about Demolition Man? I can quote you the whole movie, beginning to end. I got that. I got that. Let's see. I'm going through the chat. And I'm not going to run super long because we don't have Joe here today. I don't have Joe to go through the chat and stuff, and I feel like I'm neglecting you people. Tennessee Outlaw, thank you for that. Jellyfish UFO, someone farted and caught it on thermal image, aka organic. Are farts organic? I think that's the question we need to take away. I guess they are. I mean, our bodies produce them. It's an organic toot, you know. So that's one theory. But that fart seems to stay together. That seems to be like some sort of magical fart that just maintains shape and floats through the air. So I mean, I think that's an anomaly, right? I mean, do we have the fart scientists that we can call in to really check this out? Dr. Bean, come in and check this out for us. It's a good question. A fart. Jessie needs to sleep on the couch until she watches Star Wars. No, you can't make me. Susan C had a good one here. The Confessionals had a guy on a few weeks ago talking about atmospheric creatures. This is exactly what I pictured during that episode. The thing even changed from hot to cold as it was being videos. Yeah, so that's a thermal camera, so you can see it change in value, and you don't see any sort of switching between palettes. Now, of course, I don't know how their thermal camera works. I just know the thermal cameras that I have experience with that we use. Was it changing from hot to cold, or were they cycling through different palettes? We have a white hot, black hot, alert, fusion, that kind of stuff, depending on what unit you use. I always use the AGM. Joe uses the Pulsar, but the AGM, I think I have like 4 palettes that I use. But black hot and white hot, you switch those back and forth. They're the inverse of each other. So whatever's hot is going to be white hot, black hot. You get it. But it shows in the video when I do that, it shows on the video that I'm cycling through palettes. That way you can't cycle through a palette and you don't know where you're at. I think that's helpful that it shows on that. But I don't know what kind of thermal they're using. It's the military. So obviously they're leaps and bounds ahead of what we're doing and what we have. So that's a possible explanation for why it fluctuates between hot and cold. Maybe they're switching through the palettes on it, and it's not registering that as it's not making that little graphic on there saying that they're switching through palettes. That could explain that just instant temperature fluctuation, because that's what happens if you switch through while it's recording. Is it boom, 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 quickly flips the colors and everything. So that's a possibility that it could be switching palettes, or this thing is just fluctuating in temperature very quickly. The atmospheric creatures thing, I think that's Cryptids of the Corn. I think everybody's mentioning them right now because they're kind of obsessed with these atmospheric beasts, which is pretty Lovecraftian on its own. Marcus Aurelius, you have finally come. Yeah, so here we go. It's weird how the thing goes from hot to cold in the light spectrum. So when it's thermal, so it's picking up the heat that it's putting off. And like I just said, it could be doing that, or they could be switching palettes. We don't know what tech the military is using, what this video was taken on. So we don't know if it's going to actually show if they were switching through the palettes, or if this is just the thing itself actually fluctuating in temperature. So that was something I was thinking about, is it could be just a part of the unit that they're using. The unit. Joe is remotely doing right. Yeah. I'm going to catch up with the chat. I just heard a noise. I really hope that was a cat. I really hope that was a cat. I'm going through the chat. I'm trying to catch up, guys. I'm not doing a great job. Oh, now I'm doing a great job. Here we go. I've caught up with the chat. Awesome. All right. Let's see what else I had here. Oh, so I wanted to talk about too. Um, we were talking about back to this jellyfish UAP thing. Um, Joe and I were discussing this. It feels like, and I've discussed this before. Art Bell wrote a book called The Quickening, where he was kind of putting together all of these basically signs of the end times. Is basically what it is. Is it seems like things were ramping up in terms of societal issues. Climate issues. It seems like everything was kind of ramping up. And I think he thought it would come to some sort of apex a lot sooner than it has. I don't even think we're at an apex now. I think that it's exponentially growing in speed. And I don't know if we have a long ways to go before we hit that apex or if we're inching up on it. But with disclosure at the rate it's at right now, and now we're actually getting images of what appear to be otherworldly craft or otherworldly beings, and these are being publicly disseminated as possibly true and real. I think we're coming up on a new era. That's why that show that we did on Friday, I titled it First Images of a New Era. I think this is the beginning of, I hate to say the beginning of the end. That's kind of scary. It's the beginning of a new era. Like I said, it's year zero. There's this concept of year zero. It's like now everything begins. I think we're entering into a new cycle, a new turning. And this is maybe some era of enlightenment in a way. We've gone through sort of a dark age of information. And it seems like we're sort of entering into some sort of enlightenment. But I think there's always going to be some sort of pushback because the powers that be who have been in control during the dark ages don't want the people to enter this state of enlightenment. They have no interest in the people gaining knowledge or gaining power in any sort of way because that will upset their grasp on power. That'll upset the world they've built for themselves if information is disseminated to the commoners. So I think there's going to be a lot of pushback going forward. And we thought it was bad in the 1960s when the CIA and the Air Force were sending people into these UFO groups to kind of shake it up and cause problems. I think we thought that was, oh, that's bad. This is unbelievable. It's terrible they're doing this. I think it's going to get a lot worse way before it gets better, that there's going to be these death throes of the elites because there's so much coming out about them, what they know, and what they've done to cover up the reality that we're staring down right now. And these are just the first glimpses of what's really out there and what's really going on. And I think that we're about to see some really crazy stuff. How are we doing? UAPs are doing a great job. Yeah. Farting in a bottle. Oh, Grace W. Thank you for that, madam. Jess, excellent job holding it down all by yourself. Joe, you're dangerously close to getting grounded, mister. Good night to all my hell-bending friends. I got to get up extra early tomorrow. Feel better, Lady Wolf. Thank you, Grace. And yes, I want everybody to say a little prayer for our mean bean Lady Wolf, who is feeling very unwell. I hope she gets better. I know it's been going around, but she is taking it real hard. So I hope everything is good with her. Miranda Crew, are you planning on dropping any more videos this week? I'm going to work on some of the evidence that we gathered from that gentleman's property. and the area that he took us up to weekend before, I don't even know, it's all a mess. That witness that we have up here that we got in touch with, we got some cool audio. I'm going to work on doing kind of a shorter video, maybe putting some of that audio out. And then I have some footage from the burned forest that has some pretty neat audio in it. So I'm going to kind of prioritize and see what I can get out to get you guys a video this week. So hopefully I do. Like I said, we really didn't go out this weekend because we had to kind of redo our security protocols here, to make sure that we are physically safe and that there's no danger presented towards us. So we kind of had to take care of some stuff around here, and we had to take care of some stuff legally and everything like that. So we were unable to actually do any research this week. So that sucks, but that's reality. And that's where we're at. So I will try my bestest. I go into work every day this week, but that's okay. I will try my bestest to get a video out. We do have some dark corner stuff in that burned forest area that I have some audio on, but it's so hard to hear it. It's so frustrating. But if I can get it kind of isolated, I would love to get that out because it's like yelling. It is straight up howling and yelling from something with big lungs. And I'm not going to go too late tonight because I am by myself and I don't like being in the studio with the door shut in the house by myself. So that is what I'm going to do. If you guys have anything else you want to talk about or any questions you have, shoot those my way. I'm going to do last call because, like I said, I've been in here, like kind of locked in this room. And that's got me weirded out. But I did talk to a new witness today, just kind of an update. Talk to a new witness today, be talking to him in person, going out, scouting around where he's had these experiences. And so this is just going to add to our cases for this region. I'm super, super excited about this because just talking to this guy today, it's crazy, like these experiences he's had. And some of these experiences he's had are so aggressive. They're way more aggressive than anything else I've heard about. And it's aggressive towards women in particular. So that's something to consider. That's something to keep in mind. So I'm really excited about this. We're going to go out and check out this area and work on building this case. So we're really excited about it. If you guys don't have anything else, let me know, and then I will call it, and everybody can have a wonderful evening. And I hope you guys stay safe out there, stay warm. I know everybody is under a mega crap ton of snowfall right now. So I hope you all stay warm, stay safe, keep your head on a swivel like I have to do. And, just keep on keeping on. I appreciate you guys so much for joining me on just Jesse solo show today. I know you all tune in for Joe and his insight, but I try to do my best. But thank you guys so much for joining me. Again, this email down below, if you've had any experiences in South Carolina, shoot me an email there. If you've had any experiences in the Daniel Boone National Forest area, shoot me those experiences. Or if you know anybody, give them my email. I would love to follow up on those. We are still in the process of planning out everything for the year, including LBL. There'll be another LBL trip this year. We've got the Small Town Monsters LBL stuff coming out. So look out for that. They're doing their Kickstarter live stream early February. I think they're going to have a teaser for that. So please check out that. They're great people. They do great work. They are total badasses. I love them. Shout out to Heather. She's my rock sister. So, but make sure you check that out. And we're going to start putting this calendar for 2024 together. So if you've had any experiences, shoot them to me. Don't shoot them to me. Send them to the email below, helmetholler@gmail.com. That's how you can get in touch with me and send me all of that stuff. and let me know what you've experienced. And I'll follow up on that stuff and hopefully build out a Daniel Boone National Forest expedition this year. I think it's time we got up there and take a real Hellbent Holler approach to it and check it out. So thank you guys so much. So much. Oh God, Dewey says it's 12 degrees in Soggy Bottom. No, sir. I got to drip the water tonight, but it's not 12 degrees. It is nowhere near. Take care. Stay safe. I'm going to cue up a little music. I'll get rid of this because Joe's going to have a fit that I took him out. But thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm going to throw some music on. And this one is called Rise from the Shadows. Hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. And Joe should be back with me next week. I'll give you some updates on what's going on. Keep an eye out and stay safe. Be careful and love you all.